Coaching Beyond the Fences teaches life coaching to people impacted by incarceration. Coaching Beyond the Fences operates under the umbrella of Coaching Kids, which is a 501c3 nonprofit. For more information, check the notes below. You wanted to tell us your story.
Well, I don't really know where to start on it.
How about starting at your most recent incarceration? Like you've been incarcerated more than once, right?
Yeah. So I got arrested 2011, and I was facing life without parole. They charged me 3 drug charges and no bond. And when I did sign my time, I signed for 3 45-year sentences and nonviolent. Got to Mabel Bassett, which is the maximum security prison in Oklahoma. Due to the amount of time I had, I wasn't eligible for minimum or anything like that. So when I got there wasn't much programs or anything offered to me as a drug offender with that much time. It was a lockdown yard, and I really didn't give a shit about much or meeting people. I just was there to do my time. I had to serve probably, I don't know what amount of time. I just wanted to do it and get it over with. And then I went to, they were talking about faith and character program, because I lived in the side of the yard. I lived in C3B, which was the side of the yard. It was like all the older people and mental health and, stuff like that. There's just all this, everybody's running everybody's life, kind of inmates being over other inmate type of deal. And I was just not into that at all. So everybody's like, see, one's totally different. So I said, oh yeah, I signed up for that program to get moved over there and, change the atmosphere. And when I went, I got chosen for a program, Life on Purpose, and it was crazy. Like, I didn't even believe it was real. It was fake. It was, the way they communicated wasn't normal to me. And I told Rule that I thought it was fake. People really make a living out here on it. And he said I had potential. And I thought, well, I thought about it, and I had to go to this class anyways. I mean, there wasn't a choice. We were going sun up till sundown. I mean, it was 7 a.m. till 9 p.m. sometimes, and just was odd, training people. And we didn't really know it was, exactly what was going on. We were just doing what we were, instructed to do, but we were having experiences and paradigm shifts as it happened. And during that time, we created and trained like thousands and thousands of inmates within Mabel Bassett in the mental health program, drug program, dog program, general population, faith and character program. Several people trained the trainers. We had teams that were training and coaching within the system. Well, it totally goes against the grain. As soon as we hit big momentum, they, kicked Rule out, and we started life anew. Maryland stuck with us, and we had a lot of team things going on, and we started life anew, which still goes on at Mabel Bassett, and volunteer with Maryland when I get chances on Saturdays to help give back there. But it's just like, it's not enough. We're trying to do more. We're trying to reach more people. We're trying to go into like all prisons, throughout the world, and give them the skills that we got. Like, I'm the first team member out, and we have a lot of people that are trained and want to do this when they get out and want to impact the rate of recidivism once they're here. So I think we have a slow start, but where we're going is, the sky's the limit, and it will have a global impact as long as people stay connected to their purpose. So that's
Tell us about your purpose.
Well, my purpose is just to connect. What comes up is my captain, and it's like taking the coaching from the people who normally have it, the high price, and they're getting their coaching and taking it to the less fortunate, the ones that people forgot about in the depths of prison, or, people who, oh, well, they just keep going back to prison. They're lost cause. Those people, like, no, they're not. They're just not in line with their values. And once they realize that, and they realize their values and that, then they will have a shift in their life. And they'll have, once you own your values, you don't have an excuse anymore. You're either living in line with them or you're not.
Yes.
And when people realize that in a place like prison or getting out of prison, it changes things in the world and in your society and in your neighborhoods. And like most people, like I think it's like 85, 89% of people are going to get out of prison and be your neighbor. So those people, I want to be in touch with their values when they're raising kids that are going to school with my kid, or, going to be running the country that I have to live in when I'm old. So, I can't change every person. They're going to have to change themselves. I just try to get the tools where they need to be. And for the people like on the inside, some people may never get out, and it is what it is. It's unfortunate. And they have these crimes, but when you find your value, when you're on the inside and you realize that it doesn't change determining offense, then you create a lot of worth in the place like prison. And it trickles down and it shows other people who, maybe crying around about a small sentence or whatever, they can suck it up and figure out and get in line with their values and figure out life is happening. Life happens there just like it's happening here. They have societies, they have laundries, they have everything like we have. They eat groceries, they have friends and family, they're just the same, breathing the same oxygen we do. They just got caught. So
yeah,
sometimes they don't get out, and it's, we could get into all that shit and we waste our time on the incarceration rate of Oklahoma and the excessive sentencing. But I think we all know that it's ridiculous in itself. Just 345s on a nonviolent crimes explains itself. So I guess I try to make that where it changes the environment of prisons and for when the people get out. Like, you can have all the church and all the resources and all the money in the world, but if you don't know how to apply it in your life, you're just squandering it until you go to your next prison sentence. And it proves it. The state of Oklahoma, the statistics prove it. And, I'm trying to change the statistics.
Wow. What kind of things have you seen people do differently? What kinds of changes do people make even inside prison?
Well, I've seen people totally reunite with their children that they didn't have any contact with at all and find hope.
Tell us about the kinds of transformations you've seen in people, both inside and outside prison, or both.
Yeah, I've seen people completely reconnect with their family or their children. A part where they see no hope at all. There was no hope, no communications, no anything, and they've used a coaching scenario and took it to the next level in connection with their kids, their family, in part of raising them. Some of the kids are adults, some of them are younger, some of them becoming adults. So I've really seen connection with that. in the more hopeless stance. I've seen people forgive others for murdering their children or someone they loved, as well as forgiveness of themselves for, hostile crimes they've done, or things that they've, not let themselves off the hook for long periods of time, overcome, saboteurs, negative scripts that are just replaying. They're living that, they're in line living those negative things. And I've seen that be a transformation, just start living a whole new life once somebody's found values and learned what that is. I've seen team members that were co-defendants that I think one had testified on the other, and they had never talked in 10 years, become teammates on the same team and forgive each other in front of the whole room. Uh, you see a lot of growth. You see a lot of exploration. I mean, you get what you give. So each person's different. Each class is different. If you give it, I want to figure out how to get my laundry organized, that's exactly what you're going to get. If you give it, I want to change today for tomorrow and the next day, and change my life, and that's what you're going to get. And if you want to just enhance your life, that's what you're going to get. So it's really unique, and it's for everybody, any walk of life. I've seen old, young, new, Christian, Buddhist, Muslim, non-denomination, atheist, whoever they are. I've seen them take life on purpose and use it in their life and create purpose and live it. And uh, I've seen people go from robbing like canteens in prison to being leaders in class and leaders in other organizations. I've really seen it bring a lot of communications open between different segments of people, whether they have culture differences, just a lot of diversity. It kind of bridges the gap between that. And that's what I feel like makes it a really good vehicle to bridge the gap between society and, the bottom of society, prison.
Yes.
Because we do put a lot of, in America, we put a lot of time, energy, effort, money, all this into these things like war in other countries, helping them, feeding them, doing this. And what are we doing here in our place? What's happening here to these American citizens? That their families paying taxes. Most of the people I know had really good jobs and were paying taxes before they went. Something just went wrong, people there, they work now, they do stuff, they do things people would never do for next to nothing. It's just what's expected of them as a job, you know. So I'd like to see that change, because there's other places in the world that have prisons that are different, and it's proved to work better for them. And so I would like, us to adopt that a little bit. I mean, see what works for a solution. Quit focusing on the problem and focus on the solution. That's what I want to do. I mean, we know the problems. Who cares? I mean, you're not changing it. In order to have change, you got to focus on the solution. And that's what coaching's about. I mean, coaching is about, moving forward your next action and creating value where you're at and in the next person in front of you, and what you're doing moving forward. It's not what's happened. It's what you're doing and who you're being, more who you're being when you're doing it. So that's it. I mean, before I was being a little turd on society, and now I am being a person with integrity and a drive to help the others.
You go back for the others. I very much
Oh
admire
yeah,
that.
if not, I wouldn't go. Nobody wants to walk in and out of a prison on a weekend or any other day of the week.
Yeah, exactly. Not a great place to
Not
be.
when you live there for a significant amount of time.
Uh-huh.
And the people and the value in the people that are in there that may, whatever, that they're worth it.
What would you say to somebody who doesn't really understand why they should learn to do life coaching, which is basically what we teach? When they get out, they're either going to continue robbing banks or become an electrician or something. Why would they do that? I mean, obviously, coaching itself, if you get life coached, it helps tremendously. Why would you learn it to do it yourself?
Well, it could open up it's going to open up a new way to communicate with yourself, and it'll open up your communication with other people. So if you're going to be an electrician and you've been in prison for a long time, people communicate different in the outside than versus the inside. So it helps you get a gist of, not having that nervousness and being able to talk to people and communicate and get on levels and use your, intuition or your level 3 and really align with your values. Not, right. So many people get morals and values misconstrued and think that they're the same thing and think that I have to live this way because this is what everybody said. And so I think when people really own their values, that's when they start living their life on purpose and knowing like, oh, I want to fix cars for the rest of my life, or I want to live on the beach, or I want to, go be a rock star and do all this, or I want to get a little cottage in the middle of nowhere and never have to talk to anybody and write books. I mean, whatever that is, you find it whenever you find your value and your values, and then it starts connecting and changing things, because when things change on the inside, it changes your environment and they change on the outside.
There was another question I was going to ask, and on it a little bit. Somebody who has life without parole and no money and no friends and is never going to get out, why would they learn life coaching? Why bother?
Well, I mean, that sounds pretty miserable.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? It does.
Yeah, no friends, no time, no money, no anything.
And I mean, Rule keeps saying that they can have as rich a life as a rich executive in prison.
And it is true of an extent of your mindset, because if you don't have all that on the outside and you're in the inside, you find value where you're at and what you're doing. I know people who find value in creating flower beds and digging in that. And so when you're digging in yourself in the class, you find what you need where you're at, whether that's a life without, because there's always a possibility, or, I mean, whatever the end game is, you got to set yourself up for it. Even once you're out here, it's no different. We're going to die. Yes. So what are you going to do until then? Because when you're in prison, you think, oh, I'm going to reunite with all my family and da da da. Yeah, and I told some stories about that. But there's plenty of people who haven't. There's plenty of kids who don't talk to their parents ever again. And there's plenty of families who don't want anything to do with the people once they come home. And coaching sets you up for those things, the unexpectancy of life, because life is going to throw you curveballs, whether it's life in or life out. Either way, it's not ever what you planned it, but you got to make it count. And knowing your purpose makes it count more. It makes, when you do something and you do it with purpose, the ripple of it, when it hits somebody, it's going to be good, versus when you're doing something bad or whatever. And I don't know what bad is, but a negative effect, and you hit something with that, it's going to have ripples. So it's just, I guess it's just about, doing the next best thing for yourself and the other person. So
Yeah, we can end there if you like.
Okay.
Unless there's something else you wanted to talk about.
Well, I mean, just come to Coach Me on the Fences, I guess. That's all I would say. Come to Coach Me on the Fences on Thursdays or whenever. Listen to the podcast, check the newsletter out, get involved with volunteering on the outside, on the inside, whatever, because we need people from all walks of life, not just coaches, to make it happen. So.
All right. Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you.